All right, great job, you guys. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living. How y'all feeling? When I did a mic check earlier and I was asked to just speak for 20 seconds, I started talking about all the munchies at the Super Bowl party. So that's what I personally am looking forward to today. So welcome again to the Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living. For those of you that are watching online or on Facebook or Zoom, welcome to you. Lucky you in your pajamas with coffee in hand. And I also want to welcome Namaste. Folks are here in force this morning. And we move now to our opening congregational song with Dennis Bryan.
And Leslie have to help with that too, so let's do it all together. Okay. Nice job. Look at this group.
Good morning again. We're jazzed up now, huh? I actually saw a few of you out there do that at the very end with that, and I was like, wow, that is impressive. So we want to welcome Reverend Guy Williams here today. Dennis Bryan, of course, with Leslie Jensen, and then we have Travis as our practitioner today. So we move on now to announcements, and I'm going to bring Valerie Day up here to tell you about the prayer bead workshop on February 18th.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. So fun to be here this morning. So we are gathering this Saturday at 1:30 right over there, and Pat Fromer, who is a practitioner, is going to help us with making our prayer beads. Now, how many of you said, oh, I want to deepen my spiritual practice this year, and then you immediately fell off the wagon? Right? Like, hello? Like, right here. So these are made after the traditional mala beads, so there are 108 beads, but she brings all these fun beads. Like, look at, there's a clock and a butterfly and a world, and they're just amazing. I met Pat when we did a practitioner retreat at Redondo. It was the whole country at Redondo Centers for Spiritual Living, and I bought these wonderful beads from her. And then we had our practitioners retreat last year, and we all made them. It has been my vision for our community to be able to make these together. So come out and play and make your prayer beads. Register on Eventbrite. See me after if you have any questions.
I completely skipped over our mission statement. Sorry about that. Okay. If you could join me in saying, we are a loving spiritual sanctuary where everyone is welcome. We celebrate the abundance of life through study, inspiration, gratitude, and service. With open hearts and minds, we participate in self-transformation for a world that works for everyone. So moving on to announcements. Next week, Sunday, February 19th, we will not be holding our service here at 10 o'clock in the morning. We will meet at Namaste at 4:30. And immediately after that service, we'll have a combined town hall meeting to give an update on how the exploration teams are going. And for me personally, our exploration team has already gotten together personally and broke bread together. So it's been a great experience. And this is also the third Sunday fellowship social Sunday at Namaste. So there will be refreshments afterwards. And we encourage you, if you never brought a finger food, a hors d'oeuvre, whatever you'd like to bring, to bring and share with the rest of the group. And the Essential Earnest course begins on February 23rd. And this is an amazing opportunity to delve into the compelling and practical side of science of mind principles and see the Ways of Joy newsletter to sign up. And it's also the opportunity to work with two treasured, knowledgeable practitioners in our community, Reverend Juanita and Sylvia. So I encourage you to sign up if you haven't already. And then on February 26th, we got a lot of announcements today. It's an annual review, a reporting on last year, both the financial, experiential. Everyone is welcome. It's 11:30 after service. All right, so I ask you now to just relax in your seats and get comfortable as we transition to sacred time.
Good morning. This is indeed a special Sunday. You might think you know why, but I'm the only one that knows, so I have to break it to you. I'm proclaiming this Moody Blues Day, and as part of that, there's this display of Moody Blues albums on the counter around the corner, and I'll tell you why in a moment why that is. But first, I want to say that I think we all encounter, whether it's on television or in person here and elsewhere, we encounter those people that have a way of being that is more than admirable. It's something to which we might find ourselves wanting to strive. And so it begs an essential question is like, what is there I can do differently to move myself in the direction, the way of being of some of these people that I find so remarkable, to be in their company. And so that's the curiosity twist that I'm putting out there. And it has a lot to do with new beginnings. And last time I was up here, I recited a poem about new beginnings. And today, I'm going to revisit some of the material that I used. I'm thinking it was just about really close to exactly 20 years ago, the first time I did the spiritual reading, which was part of the order of service at Namaste at the Courtyard Marriott. And I used a booklet much like this one, a lyric booklet from the Moody Blues Question of Balance album, which I couldn't find. This is from Threshold of a Dream. And so I'm going to share the following that seems so pertinent to new beginnings. It was cold outside my door, so many people by the score, rushing around so senselessly, they didn't notice there's people like me. It's over. Will tomorrow be the same? I know that they're really not to blame. If they weren't so blind, then surely they'd see there's a much better way for them to be. Inside me, yours truly, dear diary. And then from the question of balance, the balance. After he had journeyed and his feet were tired, he came upon an orange grove and he rested. And while he rested, he took to himself an orange and he tasted it, and it was good. And he felt the earth to his spine and he asked, remember that. And he saw the tree above him and the stars and the veins in the leaf and the light and the balance. And he saw magnificent perfection whereon he thought of himself in balance, and he knew that he was. And he thought of those he angered, for he was not a violent man. And he thought of those he hurt, for he was not a cruel man. And he thought of those he frightened, for he was not an evil man. And he understood himself upon this. He saw that when he was of anger, or knew hurt, or fear, it was because he was not understanding. And he learned compassion. And with his eye of compassion, he saw his enemies like unto himself, and he learned love. Then he was answered. And then the chorus goes, just open your eyes and realize the way it's always been. Just open your mind and you will find the way it's always been. And finally, just open your heart and there's a start. So finally we get to the dream. When the white eagle of the north is flying overhead, the browns, reds, and golds of autumn lie in the gutter dead. Remember then that summer birds with wings of fire flame came to witness spring's new hope born of leaves decaying. Just as new life will come from death, love will come at leisure. Love of life, and giving without measure gives in return a wondrous yearn of a promise almost seen. Live hand in hand, and together we'll stand on the threshold of a dream. Nice material to lead us into meditation. So I invite you to breathe deep and entertain my words as your own, for there is only one here, one life, one presence. And it is awaiting on us all to awaken and to be guided into those different ways of being which lead us straight into a greater yet to be. And so I honor that presence that I find within when I venture there. It's a homecoming where I'm nurtured and healed, guided, and I find love and a quiet joy that has no outside cause. It's a way of being that I embrace in meditation and pledge to take it forth into my daily life, and that's the hard part. But I know that if it can happen in this moment, it's a possibility all the time. Transformation for a world that works for everyone starts right here, as I choose to remove those obstacles to life fully being itself as me and step into my greater yet to be. And so it is.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Oh, we'll live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. The oneness within us. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Oh, you may say that I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. We'll live as one. Imagine it. 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 Imagine.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here today. I will, truth in advertising, I am experiencing what I would call ragged love today. And what I mean by that is last night, actually, I was at the wedding of my godson. And it was, so lovely. And I have known him since the first day he was born, which was about 30 years ago. And he's just such a remarkable young man. And as weddings go, there's all the things that happen, and the group of us that have known each other since before these children were born, we were all together and celebrating it. And we noticed at dinner, we were at the old folks' table. Because we were the old folks. And just watching, this group of young people as they're dancing and celebrating and, sharing their lives, and in, the decades that will pass, they will be at the old folks' table. And then, listening to the songs this morning just tickles me, because, these were the soundtrack of our youth. But it got me thinking two things. The first is, and what I would say is, these are lessons that nature teaches us. Because I think the most sacred text is the text of nature. If we want to understand the experience of the divine, there are plenty of scriptures from plenty of traditions which are good and important and beautiful. But really, nature is our greatest teacher to understand things. And watching this cycle as it was happening had me think of something that, is in the experience of something like this terrible tragedy that happened this past week of the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey. And then also in this wedding, which is like the opposite of that. But in both of them, I believe there is a truth that nature teaches us. And it is this, that in order to survive, we must be flexible. The earthquake, one of the things that comes out is that there were so many deaths because of so much corruption in the building, and that the buildings weren't able to move and flex. And those of us that were sitting at the old folks' table could be filled with bitterness and regret. But because we love each other and we practice flexibility and openness, curiosity, it was a celebration, it was a joy. And, we often hear in New Thought, lots of names for God. God is strength, is beauty, is goodness, is truth, and on and on and on and on. And I think all those are good, and they are good. But one I think we don't think about with God is this, is that God is curious. God is curious. And, I think that is an attribute of love. Because curiosity can express itself in one of two ways. It can be a desire for power. I want to know my opponent's weakness. Or, which is really the toxic mimic of its true meaning, which is to love someone is to be curious. And that our word of power in relationship is tell me more. Tell me more, because I want to know. I'm curious. How can we grow closer? So that's one truth that nature teaches us, and something that we also understand as humans, because, there are many planes of being. There is the visible and the invisible planes. And we are in all of them. And the visible planes, the material plane, it's the world of objects. It's the world of ratios. It's the world of knowing. And then there's the subjective, the unseen planes, which are more about process and learning and feeling. One is about judgment, and not that judgment is bad. And one is about curiosity or growing and being open to what's unfolding. So one of my mantras, just kind of going into this, is from, I want to say Ted Lasso because that's where I heard it. But Ted Lasso was quoting Walt Whitman, who said, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I think that's that's like the mantra. That's written in every journal that I start. Be curious, not judgmental. Because, curiosity is open. It's expanding. It moves into the process of the unseen. Judgment is grasping and clinging and lives in the world of ratios. And again, it's finding the balance between the two of them, but as we move into life, I think it's incumbent upon us to remain curious, flexible, movement. I think it brings us greater joy. So that's one thing that we understand in the world of nature. And something as humans that I was just saying a moment ago before I got distracted by myself is that in the world of process, what we begin to understand about ourselves is something that Neville Goddard says, where he says, the world is as you are. The world